Okay, good morning. Zenek, how are you today?
Pretty good, Stuart, thank you. So I'm seeing that people are flowing into our webinar. So we will be waiting for a couple more minutes to give time for the others to join.
Okay, that's fantastic. So we give them a few minutes. Yeah. So great. That's good. And I'm based in the UK, as you know. So we've got grey skies and rain here today, but it's been sunny the last few weeks, and the weather's been really good. So I hope you're enjoying some sunshine.
It's actually in Prague. It's pretty cloudy, and it might rain. We'll see. We'll see. All right, people are still pouring in, so let's give them more time to get in so that they can hear this very interesting topic which we are going to talk about.
Yeah, it's 1 minute past 10, so we give another couple of minutes, I think, and then we start around about sort of 5 past.
Yep. Yeah.
If you just joined, we're just holding. We're just gonna wait for a couple of minutes for people to join. We see people joining every second now, so just give it a few more minutes and then we'll start. Thank you very much.
Yeah, maybe so. For those who have already joined, you will be on mute during the webinar, but you have the opportunity to ask any question during the presentation when you type it in the question toolbox which you have on your right side panel. So please don't be shy, don't be afraid to ask any question related to the topic, and we will try to answer all those questions. So what do you think, Stuart? Shall we wait 1 more minute?
We'll wait 1 more minute. Yeah, let's start with another minute. I just see somebody else just logged in. So give it 1 more minute, just 4 minutes past, and then roughly we'll kick off. It's another person just joined as well, so as I spoke.
Yeah, so for the new joiners, we are just waiting for 1 more minute to give a chance to the others to join. And as I said, you will be muted during the webinar, but there is an option in your toolbox where you can type your question. So at the moment when you think that something is not clear or you are interested in some more detail, please don't be afraid to type the question, and we will answer, if possible, all the questions.
Just had a couple more people join.
Yeah. All right, I think it's time to start.
Yep, I think so.
Right. Okay, so welcome everybody to our today webinar. I'm very happy to introduce our agenda, which is very interesting. The agenda of today's webinar is what it takes to do a successful RPA implementation. What can happen if RPA bots get incorrect, bad, or missing data? And I believe this is something which we are all afraid of. And the last topic is how you can supply perfect data to RPA bots. And that's what I'm happy to present during this webinar, that we have a solution for you if you are afraid that your extracted data can contain mistake or may not be accurate. We have a solution for you. Okay. So today, who is going to present? It will be me, Zdenek Kabatek. Probably you know me because I have been talking at many events. I'm head of professional services in NEOOPS, and with me I have here Stuart Jacobson. So Stuart, can you share some more information?
Certainly can. Hi everybody, and thanks for joining the webinar this morning. My name is Stuart Jacobson. I'm the Alliance Director for EMEA at CloudTrade. I've been in the capture industry for over 30 years, and 20 of those years has been very much in the financial process automation, working with pan-European and global shared service centres. And I understand the need that shared service centres have to constantly deliver innovation and be competitive for their internal customers by utilising new and leading technology. So hopefully today you'll find out how the CloudTrade solution can give you good leadership in conjunction with robots.
Thank you, Stuart. So let's talk a bit about NEOOPS. Even though I believe that everybody knows it, let me just repeat it. NEOOPS is a company which has been here for more than 7 years. We are focused 100% on RPA around Blue Prism technology. Currently, we have the list of 120 corporate clients worldwide, and so far we have automated more than 1,000 processes, and I believe that you know NEOOPS very well. So that was very shortly about us, and now I would give a chance to Stuart to talk a bit about CloudTrade.
Thank you, Zdenek. Yeah, CloudTrade, our main business is processing, as I said, financial documents, and on average we process around about $20 billion worth of documents for on behalf of our partners, clients a year. We have over 30,000 organizations sending documents into our cloud service, and of those there are 600 receiving clients. So we've got 600 actual plus clients using the service. And today, we're going to touch on possibly invoices, but the solution we have, it covers the whole of any business operation. So we process over 20 different document types through the service itself. So it could be an invoice, it could be an order, it could be a HR file that needs extracting data from. So that gives you an idea of the breadth and width of the solution covers.
Thank you, Steve, for those impressive numbers. And let me just share with you the story which is behind our partnership. I remember that last autumn I went to a conference here in Prague, and I saw a booth with CloudTrade logo, and I approached Stuart and Steve, who was there as well, And I said, hey guys, you are saying that you can provide 100% accurate data. That's amazing. Show me how you do that. And they explained the concept, and I immediately saw the potential of mutual cooperation between the robots and CloudTrade solution, because as everybody of us know, the robots need accurate data to be reliable and providing expected results. And we are going to talk during this webinar how you can achieve that with CloudTrade. So, yeah.
Hi there, this is Sarah from CloudTrade. We're just going to launch some polls right now. If you can just pop up on your screen, if you can just answer those, and we'll just chat through the results at the end. So just bear with us. So the first question is, are you using RPA right now? If you'd just like to answer that, that'd be brilliant. It looks like the overwhelming majority are currently using RPA at the moment. And that one's going to close in 3, 2, 1. And then the second question we've got for you, it's just coming up on the screen now. So are you struggling with getting accurate data from your documents, hopefully to power your RPA? If you'd just like to answer that one for us right now, that'd be great, brilliant. Just give that a couple more seconds. We just want to pop your details in. Not everyone's answered there. And that one's going to close in 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much. We'll share the results at the end of the presentation. Thanks, Enoch and Stuart.
Thank you, Sarah, for the poll.
Thanks, Sarah.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about our view, the view of NEOOPS when we are talking about RPA and what it means to get or how important it is to get the accurate data. So if you go to next slide, Sarah. Yeah, so I'm going about 2 major topics, and it will not be long because I want you to understand how CloudTrade can bring additional value to your robots. So I'm going to cover 2 topics, but very briefly, and those are challenges for accurate data capture. What challenges are there? And what it takes to do a successful RPA implementation with data capture. And as you presume, I will be shortly talking about CloudTrade and then handing over to Stuart to give you more details. All right. So what are the challenges for accurate data capture? Well, because everybody here is using RPA, so you know that sometimes business approach you and say, yeah, the robots are great, they are doing those repetitive mundane tasks, and we would like you to include invoice processing or order processing, because these are high volume processes, and there is great potential for robots to help us with that. What are the challenges when the business actually approaches you with this question? Well, when you analyze that, you can see that the layout and the format for each vendor differs. Each vendor produces different order, different invoice. Well, you may have tried that. We definitely in NEOOPS, we have tried that. And we did a few cases where we extracted data from those invoices or orders. And we realized that one order takes about 1 man-day of effort to do one layout. So you can imagine what effort it would be if you have 100 or 500 layouts. And furthermore, if your extraction is not perfect, it can produce inaccurate data, which will have business consequences, of course, because everybody can understand that if the robot misreads the quantity and instead of 10 can be 18, or the total amount is not read properly, that will have serious business consequences. In a sense that the factory will produce more goods than originally requested, or you pay the invoice amount which is either more than what was required or less than what was on invoice. And this is definitely from business perspective a big worry, but for us in NEOOPS, definitely the biggest threat is that, you know, then the perception of robotics may change from being reliable and hardworking to, well, we always need to check them because they are not providing consistent, reliable results. And that's something which we want to avoid. So that's why I guess that sometimes, or in many cases actually, your conclusion would be, well, this is not the job of automation because there are too many challenges, too many issues to solve. So let's avoid that, you know, let's not put it in our scope. So if we go to how we can address those challenges, how is there any solution which can help with that? Yes, we have it. And that's what I immediately spot at the conference when I spoke to Stuart and Steve, and they explained me how CloudTrade works. Because CloudTrade, and again, this is very short summary, and Stuart will be talking in much more detail what it is, but very briefly, it's a smart electronic data capture solution where you can define the layout of your incoming digital documents very easily. And what you can see at the bottom of the slide, in CloudTrade, defining the mapping or capture schema can be set up in half an hour. If you compare it with the effort which it would take to teach the robots, that's just order of magnitude different. And furthermore, if you say, okay, what I need to install to run CloudTrade, you actually don't need to install anything because it's a cloud service. So you just send your data to cloud and you will get back the structured data with 100% accuracy. So this could be the way to go further because as you could see, from 1 man-day per one layout, you are getting to half an hour per one layout. And that's very tempting. And the guarantee of data accuracy is also very, very promising. So I would pass the word to Stuart so that he can walk you through in much more detail what CloudTrade can offer and how it can be integrated in your RPA workforce. Thank you, Stuart, it's all yours.
Okay, Zdenek, thank you very much, and thank you for the insight into you know, where robotics does have a challenge with data and acquiring data. So if we go on to the next slide, so what it's all about, I think I just talked about this a little there. It's all about data. It's about data. The whole of the world relies on data to make it work. And it underpins every business process. And as I said earlier on in my introduction, you know, it's not just about financial document orders. It can be any document type in any organization, because for many, many years, organizations have been looking to automate the extraction of this data. But the reason why it's still being manually keyed in many ways, or key correction, is because it's very difficult to access that and extract it in a clean way. And it affects every business decision. As Zdenek said earlier on, you know, if you've got a robot, you need to feed it data, and that data needs to be clean. So, you know, if you look at what we can offer, it will provide not just in one area of business, but you could actually use that multiple times throughout the business. So I'll talk about different verticals and different applications, but you know, their documents have different structures, and that's really important. So you have structured documents, and if you use those, sometimes they can be fairly easy to extract the data from. But where you have semi-structured and unstructured documents, this is where the real challenge is. And you know, what we really focus on is getting data from what we say the body or line item detail from the document, And that's what everybody's looking for. They're not looking really for the header data because that's fairly easy to extract, but it's getting down into the weeds or right down into the bottom of that document and getting that really important piece of information that it can be vital to an organization to process that and to validate that actual document in downstream processes. So let's look at what capture options we have today and have in the past and where it's going. So solutions to automate. So if you start from the left there, portals. Portals are a great idea. But again, this is a lot of manual input. So it tends to be for orders or invoices through e-invoicing networks, whereby the supplier or the customer has to manually key in the data into the portal. But the challenge there is that the data is only correct if they key in the correct data. And it's very difficult for an organization. Where I spoke to a finance director a month or so ago, at the end of each quarter, he was having to key data, his staff having to key data into 12 different portals. So that's not very efficient at all. It may be good for the recipient, but it's not very good for the people who are having to send that data into the organization. If we look at EDI now, I mean, EDI has been around a long time, since the 60s, and it works really well. But it's really only designed for organizations where you have a very tight integration, such as manufacturing, typically within, let's say, the car industry or the retail industry, where you have high volumes of orders or invoices passing between organizations, and that works really well. But there is a cost attached to that. It's very costly to implement, and it takes a long time to actually implement that as well. Typical examples for some of our clients who have been using EDI, they took 10 to 12 weeks to get one supplier on to their EDI network. So that gives you an idea. It's good, but there are challenges there. OCR, I think OCR has been again around since the late 60s, early 70s. And unfortunately, the underlying software hasn't changed. There's no real change in what's being done, how it extracts the data. It's been given different names. Some people would like to call it cognitive capture. But the overall line is that it's using a template to extract the data from the document. I'll go a bit more into that in the next slide. And then we've got still people manual keying. Manual keying is labor intensive. That tends to be taken offshore. But basically what you're doing there is lifting and shifting. You're using a lower wage rate to capture the data. But it still doesn't solve the problem of getting that clean data into the robot, because again, humans, we all make mistakes. So let's dig a little bit more into OCR. I don't know whether to use it, but what sort of some of the challenges on the next slide will show you that can happen. I think first of all, it's really important to say OCR is not intelligent in that respect. It's looking just for pieces of data on a document. With OCR, you zone that and say, can you look in the top right-hand corner, because hopefully the invoice number is going to be there. And if it's not there, it's not going to find it. And that's one of the biggest problems. So you need to identify where that data is, and that's really a challenge. And if it goes onto a different page, it's not going to find it as well. Yeah, and they only really worked on structured documents, something that's got a very good structure to it. And again, it can misread. So at the bottom there, you see of the screenshot there, this is an invoice, and on the invoice it says 26.19. Because of the way it's been printed, and the top of the characters have been cut off with the box, you can actually see that it's interpreted it as 2b.iy. So again, these are all the challenges you have using OCR going into a robotic solution. The data is not clean, and that is a challenge. You really need to make sure that data is 100% accurate. So you can actually the robot can work on that, and deliver the results that are desired. So what are the technology stacks and how are they being placed? So there's just three stacks in that respect. So you've got what we call nowadays superseded technology. Now, we've covered some of those in the couple of slides previously. Those technologies are still around, but they have been superseded. Then there's some new technology which is coming in, is neural networks and scripted APIs, but that still hasn't been proven. CloudTrade is based on natural language processing, and this is proven technology. So we've actually built that into our application, and that's the main difference, and that's why it's leading the field. And I think what you find is that what we were making statements throughout this presentation, and Xenix obviously earlier on, is that no, we will guarantee 100% capture accuracy from the data as long as it's there. So why CloudTrade now? So what we work on documents which are application generated, where you have a data layer underneath. So when we developed our solution over nearly 11 years ago now, in 2009 we started, there was a very low volume of application generated documents such as PDFs or Word documents, or but over the years that's changed, and we've done some research, and even last week we were speaking to a client, and they were saying 90% of the documents they receive into their organization are actually application generated PDFs. And you say, well, what's the reason for that? Is because more and more solutions now actually do deliver from them application generated documents. So even for SMEs with using applications such as Xero, for example, that will send an invoice out or an order out in that format. So what we find is that only around 10% of documents now are not application generated, i.e. they're a dumb document in that respect. So that's why you can actually leverage the power of CloudTrade solution, because you'll see the majority of the documents actually meet that requirements.
Or maybe, Stuart, the 10% can fall into category what we have seen, that there is a application generated document, a person just prints it, scan it, and then send it, So this can happen as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, we had a case where the client said all their documents were images, and saying you're absolutely right. They were taking those documents in, putting them through OCR, not realizing they were application generated. So where they had been running a project for 6 months to extract data, and it hadn't worked for them, we were able to deliver that project within 6 weeks for them, because again, being cloud-based. So that, you're absolutely right there, Zenak. Thank you for that. So what is the solution? Let's look at the solution, the cloud solution. And I think what I want to say is what we're not. We're not a collection of technologies as a way of trying to cover all bases that leave the proof of the solution working to the customer. And I think, if you've had these solutions, you go along, buy the software, it's installed, and then it's down to you to get it working. And that's, and you don't know if it's going to work, and sometimes it doesn't work, and there's a long lead time before you actually start getting the volumes putting through, and maybe not then getting the results you require on data accuracy. So let's look at what we are. So we're one solution. It's a managed cloud service, which is really important. So we can deploy very quickly, as I said, within weeks rather than months. We take ownership of the processing. So when we say we guarantee 100% data accuracy, we're taking that ownership and making sure you get that 100% data accuracy. And that's quite a different approach to it. So because of this, we enable automation of business processes by seamlessly integrating human readable documents with the target IT system. So again, as I said there, we talked about a target ID system, because it could be any system. It's not just a finance system. So let's dig a little bit deeper and let's talk about what we call it. So the CloudTrade solution is, we call it universal capture. So it's a managed cloud service that takes ownership of processing of all documents. And typically we're going to talk about invoices today. It provides one solution for all types of inbound documents or invoices, digital and image files. And I'll dig deeper into that onto the next slide. The great benefit of that, it will extract data from documents with a high or low volume come into the cloud-based solution. And it's the only solution that can be tailored to your requirements and is suitable for enterprises or SMEs, as I said earlier on. So I think that's quite important. We can tailor that, and I'll detail that in a couple of slides when you'll understand that a bit more. Well, how I'll talk about why, how can we tailor it, and why is that. And I think one of the most important things here is it maintains optimum levels of data quality, and that's what everybody's looking for. So you can actually feed the robots so they can actually work optimally as well themselves. So let's dig deeper into the three areas we've got there onto the next slide, and you'll see that. So I mean, this is potentially particularly for invoices. I think this is what a lot of organisations or vendors don't talk about. But you know, the challenges that people tend to find is that number one is short tail. This is where you have your high volumes of documents for maybe 20% of your suppliers, so maybe 80% of your invoices, and they tend to be data PDFs. On those, we can offer you 100% data accuracy is guaranteed by setting up a set of business rules, and I'll explain that a little bit later on. So for each sender or supplier that comes into your to be processed, we can set up specific rules for that and how they need to be processed. So the data is fully captured and replicated on each invoice as it goes through the full automation. So that's we can handle that. And then you've got image files. There will be image files coming in. So we can handle those as well. So you know, we use a particular application to extract the data, and I'll go into more detail. We can't guarantee 100% because again, we're looking from the data from the top of the image itself, but you know, we can get you between 80 and 90% of that data through to the robots. And then what we call the long tail. This is where you have PDF for suppliers with low volumes of documents. They may send 1 or 2 documents in a year, and you've got to say, are they worth automating? And it's not always about the volume, it's about actually the data in a document. You may have an invoice, and we've got one case where the invoice that comes in every quarter is a €250,000. So yes, it is worth using automation to capture that. So we use our universal capture, and we use the low volume application to get as much data as we can off that, and we use our best efforts basis to do that. So again, we can cover all bases on the capture side. So it's not just we only work at one end of it, we work along the whole breadth of the document cycle, high or low volume. So we talked about 2 types of documents. We've got the data PDF. So how does it work? So at CloudTrade, we extract the data directly from the data layer in the document. Okay, we're just extracting the data. We're not looking to identify specific sets of data, but extract all data within the document as a string. So, and then that string of data passes into our patent technology, which is a pages file, and identifies the required data for extraction, validates and enriches that. And I'll dig down a bit more into how that works. So what about the image? So completely different process as traditional OCR. We don't use templates again, and we're not locating the data, what's to be extracted, actually on the image at all. Again, we use the same principle. We use a text extraction to extract all the data from the document, again, as a data PDF, as a string of data. So whatever's there, we take. We're not trying to identify that state. And then again, we pass it into our patent pages file to identify and extract the data the same as the data PDF. And that's the major difference, is our technology allows us to work on any document by extracting the data first and then working on it afterwards, rather than working actually on the image itself. So on to the next slide, you will see, want to know, so how does it work? So let's go in a bit more detail. So what we say, and this is very simple, and this is really in a nutshell how it works. If there's logic around what you need to capture, we can express those in our rules engine. So we have business rules, and as long as you can tell us the data you want extracted from that document and any validation, we will program that into our rules engine, and that will carry out the work to give 100% quality data. So the rules engine will extract, it will validate, it will also augment data if need be. And again, that is down to line level, say for invoices, or body level if it's another document type. So that's really important. And I think the great thing is that even if the information moves around or it crosses over pages or was need to be interpreted in a different way, we can do that because we've extracted the data and put it into our patent software, so it can actually work on that and find what it needs to do on that. Now, in some cases, we do a lot of the logistics documents, and some of those can be 150 pages long with 10 lines per each page. That's 1,500 lines. And we can actually process those documents, some in the region with 20 minutes to give you an idea. So again, it's very flexible in what it can do. So it's not just invoices, any document you have in your organization, you can actually work on. So how long does it take to set up? And I think this Zenek was his opening statement, about, it takes 1 man day to set up an order. To set up 100 accurate data with the business rules can be as little as 30 minutes. And once that's set up, that's set up for life. So if something happens to change on that, then CloudTrade will actually make the relevant changes to update that. Now, we have projects can be fully up and running in little as 2 weeks. And I've got real life examples we can share with you if you want to at a later stage to do that. So again, that's really very, very important. It's been in this difficult times we're going through at present time, where people have been home working and they couldn't get the documents. We've been able to help organizations get through these difficult times and keep their business running through that period. And also, it's much quicker for robots to learn and correct it's much quicker than for robots to learn to correct the data to extract. We're feeding the clean data so they can actually work on it straight away and process it quicker. They're speeding up that business process for the client. So universal capture, there are 7 key processes or 7 key steps through that. So the robot has a document, it passes it into into the cloud solution. Now that could be in many different ways. It could be via CSV file, it could be an email, it could be a HTTP link. So whatever, or STP, whatever method of communication that's set there. Once it comes into the application, we identify it. And we log it. So we update a transactional status. So although it's in the cloud, we have a portal whereby you can go into that portal and view what's happening through that with that document throughout the process. And I'll show you that on the next slide. Once we identify, is it an image or is it a data PDF, it goes through the relevant processes to extract the text or data from that document. It then goes for validation into the pages file. Once it's gone into the pages file, it's then enriched, looking at it, maybe, for example, and other data needs to be added to it. So let's say it was a purchase order number and it's a SAP number, and you need a 9-digit purchase order number, and there's only a 6-digit, then it can be paid out with the leading zeros if required. So as it goes through the whole process, again, each of those steps is updating the portal so you can see what's happening to that document. Then finally, that's exported out to the robots for processing and onward action within the organization. So I think what will be a good idea now, if we go on to the next slide, you can see the portal, so you can see what it looks like. So this is the transactional status. As you can see here, it's quite comprehensive. There's just different views of this, but I think the main, what we're looking at up here is on the left-hand side where it says status. It will tell you, for example, we may get, say a document comes in, we don't recognize it, i.e. it could be the client has a statement that doesn't want those processed, and that can go in as junk, and you can review that and make your actions on the portal here. And then it tells you the success rate. And you can see as you go by, you can see the screen there, it gives you the data received, the processing times. So these processing times, can be in minutes from hitting the portal to the data coming out the other side. And again, we've got some sets of data that's been extracted, so you know exactly what it is. So you have full visibility when that document hits the CloudTrade portal for processing, exactly where it is in the process. So the supplier actually rings up and says, have you received my document? If you haven't seen it in your system, you can actually see if it's been accepted in the portal. So again, full visibility on the processing from end to end within our application. So I think now it'd be good to show you, give you an idea of the some of the simple to complex what we can do. I mean, most people can deal with simple solutions. One document type, just a small number of senders. One business unit, one country, one language, etc. But being a shared service, the majority of shared service centers is very more complex than that. So, you normally got one or more document type that needs processing. You could have hundreds of thousands of senders coming in. You would have multiple business units. You may probably also have multiple applications in different countries and in geographical regions, multiple languages again. So, we can handle multiple languages with that. And you will have data and image-based source documents to process because, of the vast different regions you process for. And there will be complex multiple tables for master data, which we can manage. And there'll be, complex independent validation rules as well. So again, where we look at all the way along the line is, we can work on these very, very complex requirements for you. So we haven't had a case where we said we can't process those documents. I said, as long as you can describe exactly what you want processed and how you want it processed and how you want it validated, we can actually do that for you. So I think we can go now, and what we'd like to give you a short video presentation to show you how the actual system works from end to end.
We are going to demonstrate how CloudTrade processes an invoice. This is a demonstration invoice. As you can see, the text can be highlighted, which means the data is stored inside the PDF, and so our software can read the document and extract the data. The first thing to do is to send the document in by email. Here we will be able to see the demo invoice going through our system. First, the document is received and the data layer is extracted from the PDF so that it's something that the system can interpret. The supplier is then identified and the system directs the document to the set of instructions that have been specially written for this format of invoice. Next, the instructions for capturing the pieces of data are carried out. We can see the data items being captured here. Here you'll be able to see the order number and the invoice number. Finally, any validation of the data is completed and the output file is generated and sent. For this demonstration, the output file with the captured data has been emailed to us with a summary. On the left is the XML and on the right is the corresponding invoice. We can see that the details here match what is on the document we originally sent in. Once the document has been processed, it appears on CloudTrade's portal. Here, the status is a success, as there were no data items missing from the invoice. I am now going to demonstrate CloudTrade's intervention tool. What is the purpose of it and what functionality does it have? Intervention is where documents are sent if an issue is detected during processing. The most common issues that we redirect to intervention are missing mandatory data items or document scenarios such as the totals not adding up. This allows the document and its error to be reviewed and actioned according to our instructions, rather than simply rejecting it outright. You can see that we have a list of documents that are in intervention on the left-hand side, and an image of the PDF itself on the right of the screen. On the bottom left here, we have a list of the errors that have been flagged, along with a selection of options for actioning the document. For this demonstration invoice, the system has detected that the invoice number has not been captured. This error could have been detected either because the supplier has genuinely missed off the invoice number, or because the logic that CloudTrade is using to capture the invoice number needs fixing. In this case, we can see that the invoice number is indeed missing from the document. We would fail the invoice, causing it to be either rejected back to the supplier or sent for review by a member of your team. Intervention can also be used to action documents that don't require processing. For example, if the supplier sends their statement in as well as their invoices, we can define a number of quick actions with instructions that suit your situation. For a statement, we could forward it to a particular email address or return it to the supplier, or simply discard it, as this demonstration environment has.
Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed that, gives you that short video there, and gave you an insight into how the solution works from end to end. And if you want to see some more of that, if you've got a document maybe you're having a challenge with processing, so we're quite happy to do a test on that for you to show you how we can actually deliver you that clean data as we've talked about. So in summary, I think what we, the whole point of what CloudTrade is about accuracy data, and that's what we're passionate about, is making sure that we can deliver accurate data to the target system, to the robot, so they can work on it. It can work on any application generated document. It can even work on a EDI file. We take EDI files, so in that case you don't have to actually set up that supplier on an EDI platform. They can send you that data in and go through a CloudTrade solution. It's rapid adoption. And why is it rapid adoption? Because there's no real change at either end for the sender or for yourselves, the receiver, on that. It's just say either send it by email to this email address and CloudTrade pick it up and process it from there. So therefore it's very simple to implement, and that gives you high supplier adoption because they're not having to sign up to a service. It's just send the document to us. And in this case, the supplier or the sender doesn't pay for the service either. So that's why they really enjoy that, as with other e-invoicing networks. It's faster processing times. We can process those documents, turn around very, very quickly, and especially with time-critical documents such as orders, where you need to get that shipment out as quickly as possible. Again, because the data is clean as 100%, it gives you increased control, compliance, and visibility of the information. So you know what's going into the robot. When it's going to come out there, you can actually use that straight away without having to act on that to correct it. And again, this will reduce operating costs, give more hours back to the organization so they can actually focus on more value-added tasks. And I think a lot of organisations now today are very much about reducing their carbon footprint, and this certainly helps reducing that, because you're no longer processing pieces of paper, printing them out and scanning them. It's all being done in the cloud, and it's all electronic.
Excellent.
Okay.
Stuart,
Thank you.
That was an excellent summary. Thank you for that. So now, guys, it's time for the questions. Sarah, do we have some questions from the audience?
So if you'd like to submit your questions into the chat function at the side, please do. We'll just wait a minute or so for those to come in. You ask them anything you like about the topic, any stories, whatever you want. And we'll just give that a minute.
Okay, so
I was about to say
sorry, Sarah, carry on.
I was about to say we've had some submitted to me directly that I can read out to you.
Oh,
just
fantastic.
bear with me. The first question for you, Stuart, actually, is how can you tell if the documents are application generated PDFs? So I guess
it's a very good question, that one. Yeah, actually, it's quite simple. If you bring the document up on your screen, on your computer or laptop, and if you can highlight and copy and paste the text, let's say into a Word document, that means that document's application generated. That means the data there is underlying data you've actually lifted off. You haven't actually lifted text off your viewing, but the data that resides under that. So it's quite simple to do that. And we have got a document that goes into more depth if you would like to have that as well.
Okay, brilliant. And the next question is, so what languages can you process? Can you cover all languages, or is it just certain ones?
Yes, we cover all the Latin characters. So basically, we're global. We can again process Chinese as well, but we haven't found there's a great requirement for that at the present time. But it is there. That's all available.
Brilliant. And another one just come in. So OCR projects tend to take a long time to document set up, and we don't see the benefit for months. What are your typical project timescales?
Okay, so excuse me, we're frogging through there. For typical go live can be sort of 6 to 8 weeks from contract agreement. What we say is that pick a particular section of documents you want processed, or their invoices, and then we can get those run up very, very quickly in that respect. And then we can fine tune that as we go through. So it's really important that we can get that running up very, very quickly. That's what people are looking for. Is they're not, it's not a case where you take a project and it could be 6 to 8 months before you see any benefit coming through. 6 to 8 weeks, and you'll be up and running live.
Very impressive. Very impressive. I would have one more question for Stuart. Is there, I actually realized that I don't know, is there any SLA or how quickly you process a document when a customer actually sends you a document and you extract the data? Is there any SLA or any guarantee time frame that you send back the extracted data? Yeah.
As long as if the document comes in and it meets all the business requirements, let's say for an order, if it comes in, the day it comes in, that is processed by before 4 p.m. that day, to give you some idea. But you normally get them quicker. And again, some clients want them to receive them as they're processed, and some clients want them batched in batches and released certain times during the day.
All right. Interesting. Thank you.
Just one more final question we've got sent in. So somebody says, we're not based in the UK. Our corporate policy states that we must not process or host outside our jurisdiction.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
how would we counter that?
okay, that's fine. We have several clients also actually have this requirement. And in those cases, we can provide a host in the relevant jurisdiction by deploying onto Microsoft Azure. So our whole application is Microsoft Azure. So therefore, we can host that in tenants in the relevant specific jurisdictional regions that's required.
Okay. That's all for the questions we've got, Gobin. I was just going to tell you the results of the poll that we ran earlier, just out of interest for everyone, really. So it looked like 90% of you were already implementing or using RPA technologies. That's good. So it's just over 10% are considering it but aren't using it at the moment. And in terms of struggling to get your accurate data, overwhelmingly, about 70% said no, they're not struggling to get accurate data, but they want to know how they can get better data, and 30% didn't know. So I wonder if we ran that poll again, what the results would be now that you know that perhaps there's a solution that could get you 100% accurate data. So it's just thought I'd share those with you before we ended the webinar. And that's it from me.
Yep. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, everybody, for attending this webinar. And I believe that you saw excellent solution for your robotic workforce, how to get accurate data and feed them to the robots in a simple way and get more efficiency out of your robotic workforce. Thank you very much once again, and talk to you soon.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity, Zdenek, for CloudTrade to present with you at this webinar today.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you.